Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. The series What If Transmigrated to a Medieval Pokémon World will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Reincarnated in Bleach as Toshiro Hitsugaya? What if Reborn in Naruto World, continuation? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 831, The World of Games. The beginning of the second book. Ding! Plus 1 MEXP. The system has been upgraded. System level 20, 20M/20M, max. Plus 100 art stores. Art stores available for use, 880/1000, max. Congratulations on completing the system and reaching the maximum EXP limit. You have accumulated 20 million EXP to reach level 20 of the system. You have reached the maximum number of art stores the system can provide, 1000, but access to the virtual world feature has been unlocked. Virtual World, from now on, you can sacrifice an art store as the foundation to create a fully integrated virtual world. Additionally, 1 trillion art coins are required to complete the creation of a living, vibrant world previously depicted through your art as a prerequisite. As the creator of this virtual world, you have absolute control over it. Do not be deceived by the term virtual. At your current level, you won't be able to discern what is virtual and what is real. My words fail me. So this is the ultimate potential of the art store system. I've actually reached this stage. Sigh. Rob sighed deeply as he stared at the series of notifications floating before him. After 5.5 years of relentless effort and grinding, he had finally maxed out the system's levels, reaching level 20. In doing so, he unlocked all the features of the art store system. While the first 10 levels provided a variety of abilities, the last 10 focused on a single, overwhelmingly powerful feature per level. These features had been invaluable throughout Rob's journey, to the point that he could no longer imagine surviving without them. Completing the system brought Rob a sense of accomplishment, but also left him feeling slightly lost. Now I can't gain EXP anymore. The system can't be upgraded further. So, what should I do now? Is the system forcing me to sacrifice my precious art stores to create virtual worlds? For what purpose? After leveling up, I received 100 new art stores, bringing my total to 120 stores available for use. Over the years, I've worked tirelessly to establish a vast network of art stores worldwide, planting 880 of them across more than 800 islands. Of course, I can still reclaim my stores if I choose. But doing so would mean losing the corresponding territory. My art stores are the capital that allows me to compete with the world government for dominance. That's if I ignore my personal strength, of course. The idea of creating virtual worlds does sound intriguing. Especially the part about my inability to distinguish between what's virtual and real. A surge of curiosity overwhelmed Rob. Though his personal strength had already reached the peak of what was possible in this world, his hockey, physical abilities, and devil fruit powers had all hit their peak, and the skills gained from templates were similarly maxed out, he still hadn't reached a qualitative transformation. Despite his physical immortality, he lacked the qualifications to become a true god. At best, his power level could be described as that of a low god. Greater than a demigod, yet below true deities. Rob was acutely aware of this reality. For this reason, he hesitated to sacrifice his most valuable assets, his art stores. These 1,000 stores were his foundation, the essence of the system itself. Once a virtual world was created, the corresponding art store would be lost forever. The process was irreversible, as the system had warned him. Though he could act as a god within a virtual world, much like he did within an art store, the virtual worlds could still be destroyed by true strength. In contrast, the art stores were indestructible. Rob understood this distinction better than anyone else. In the end, I can finally create the world of games I've envisioned ever since I learned about the system's ultimate feature. Sacrificing one art store to bring a new One Piece world to life. It's worth it. Unlike this world, where the Divine Network holds sway, the One Piece world I'll create will be under my complete control. I've already completed the pre-timeskip part of the story, so I have all the material I need to bring the world to life. A satisfied smile spread across Rob's face. The time had finally come to unveil his world of games to the public. And what was this world of games? For the people of this world, it would seem like a revolutionary invention. A thrilling new form of entertainment offered exclusively by the art store. But only Rob knew the truth. This wasn't just entertainment, it was a living, breathing world. A virtual reality game that requires sacrificing an art store, with its divine laws, and 1 trillion art coins, the only currency capable of purchasing limitless items from the system shop, all to create a fully functional living virtual world. In essence, the world of games was a virtual reality experience that allowed its players to physically participate in the events of the manga. This was the true essence of the world of games. Now that Rob had finally unlocked this divine feature, he began planning how to create this virtual world on his own terms. Of course, One Piece has already been decided as the first virtual world. Rob smiled as he gazed at the horizon. The horizon was filled with the endless blue sea. Rob had been a part of this surreal world for so long that he had fully integrated into it. Yet, he had never forgotten where he came from. Hadn't he once been an ordinary human on Earth? Though a genius hacker and a wanted criminal, at his core, he was still just a regular man, a slightly rebellious one, seeking freedom and a life without constraints. Looking back on my life, it all feels so surreal. Rob stared at his reflection in the crystal-clear seawater, lost in thought. The face looking back at him now was nothing like the one he'd had in his previous life, which he had almost forgotten in the depths of his memories. With a single thought, Rob could retrieve any memory from his vast mental library, thanks to his photographic memory. His former face was so ordinary, so unremarkable compared to his current sharp features. Yet, why did the eyes remain the same? The eyes are the gateway to the soul. I am still me. Even though I've merged with remnants of the previous Rob's soul, I remain myself. That can't be changed. He clenched his fist, shattering the water's surface and scattering his reflection. Rob stepped away from the shore, his hands in his pockets, walking away. I've enjoyed everything this life has given me. Now, why not let this world enjoy what I can give in return? Let's raise the curtain on the mysterious world of games, where this time, I will control how the story unfolds. Chapter 832, After 3 months. As the final pages of the first part of the Straw Hat Crew's journey in the manga closed, readers across the world felt a wave of sadness. Yet, more than sadness, they experienced a mounting anticipation for the second part of this epic tale. The sadness stemmed from knowing that the story was edging closer to its conclusion. However, the anticipation far outweighed the sorrow, reaching much deeper into their hearts. A year of waiting? I could wait 5, even 10 years for One Piece. 5 years? 10 years? I could wait my entire life for One Piece. Ha ha. Nonsense. You're all just talking big because you're confident it'll return in a year. TCH, shut up, old man, and pour me some more wine. In bars, markets, exhibitions, homes, and even workplaces, people everywhere were passionately discussing the long-awaited return of One Piece. Naturally, excitement tends to fade over time. But a month passed, then 2 months, and now 3 whole months had gone by since the conclusion of the first part of the One Piece manga, and yet, the discussion showed no sign of slowing down. Ohara. 3 months later, in the C calendar year 1503, the 5th year of the manga era calendar. The current date is aligned with a significant event in the manga world's history. 21 years before the main storyline, the adventures of Luffy began, marking the births of characters like Sanji and Zoro. In another corner of this vast world, Yuta was also born. Unfortunately, because of my intervention, the Roger Pirates didn't disband, meaning Shanks hasn't formed his own crew yet. So, it's unlikely that Shanks will find the newborn Yuta as he did in the movie. Rob had watched One Piece film. Read thanks to his system shop, which kept him updated with all things One Piece from Earth. He was even aware of the developments in the manga, including the new Elbaf arc. At the moment, Rob was in the art store of Ohara, sitting in his private section. He was planning how to introduce the world of games to the public. Since finishing the system, he has been tirelessly working to achieve a strong launch for his game universe. Creation was something reserved for gods, yet Rob was about to embark on this very act himself. The idea of creating something out of nothing was beyond imagination. Naturally, his first attempt had to be extraordinary. Ever since Rob finished the system and unlocked its full potential, he could now turn his art into reality. In total, he could create up to 1,000 worlds by sacrificing all his art stores, becoming the supreme ruler of every world he created. The mere thought of this capability made Rob realize just how absurdly powerful his system was. Having read countless system novels in his previous life, Rob ranked his system among the highest tiers. Unlike many unfinished or abandoned stories where little was known about the system's true capabilities, Rob's system had reached its final form, providing him with everything it had to offer. This system was a blessing. After all, it was exactly what Rob had requested in the initial survey that started it all. Only such a system could help him avoid failure in his primary mission, creating manga of One Piece into the One Piece world. My ultimate goal is already halfway done, but when I finish, what comes next? Will they send me back to my original world? Rob sighed, reflecting on such thoughts that occasionally crossed his mind. By then, I'll have countless worlds under my control thanks to the system's final ability. If I complete the mission perfectly, will the gods still take everything away from me? No, why would they? Although Rob had some worries, he remained optimistic. As long as he succeeded in completing his mission flawlessly, he was confident he wouldn't lose anything. With these thoughts, Rob immersed himself further into the virtual world feature. For the past 3 months, he had been working tirelessly, nearing the completion of the magnificent One Piece world he was creating. To the residents of the One Piece world, it might seem like just another game. But once they entered, they would realize their shallow ideas had no meaning. Batarilla. Roger stared intently at Crocus and Kureha as they examined his wife with great care. Roger was worried, but his face betrayed none of his concern. Are you certain the second fetus appeared out of nowhere? It's clear they're twins, said Crocus with a puzzled expression. Both are healthy, and there are only 3 months left until the due date, Kureha said with a kind smile to Rouge, who lay on the bed. Moved by Rouge's sacrifice for her son Ace in the manga, Kureha was deeply touched, to the point of tears. She had rarely experienced such emotions, making her especially compassionate toward Rouge. She even agreed to Roger's request to visit regularly and ensure the pregnancy progressed safely. It was the worry of a loving husband, perhaps excessive but entirely understandable. Roger himself was profoundly affected by Rouge's actions in the manga. Her sacrifice had left a lasting impression on him, one that words could hardly capture. Lying on the bed, Rouge smiled warmly. She was overjoyed to be expecting not 1 but 2 children. Even though she didn't understand how an extra fetus had appeared in her womb, fitting in perfectly, she welcomed the miracle wholeheartedly. These were her children, and she would love and nurture them to become heroes, just like their father. Don't worry so much, Roger. It's normal to feel dizzy or have side effects during pregnancy. You're just tiring out Crocus-san and Kureha-san every time you worry too much, Rouge said softly. No problem, Crocus interrupted as he stood up. It's an honor to be your personal doctor, Rouge-san. Shimatsuki Town. How is she? Roronoa Arashir was anxious. His wife, Tara, was nearing childbirth. As far as he knew, his child would definitely be Zoro. After all, in this town, he was the only Roronoa. His late father, Pinzoro, had no other children who could carry on the lineage. "She's fine, it's not time for the birth yet, you fool." "Stop worrying for no reason," said his mother, Furiko, with a smile. She was equally excited. Soon, she would see and hold her adorable grandson. It would be soon, just a few more weeks until Zoro's arrival. That is, if he didn't get lost and end up being born to another woman by mistake. Back in Ohara, Sora was taking care of her children in the art palace. "I wonder what's been keeping Rob so busy lately," she said with a slight sigh. The frequency of his visits had decreased significantly. Compared to the love he showed Robin, Rob seemed to be neglecting Sanji, Reiju, and Hiyori. These were his children by blood and fate after he had rewritten their destinies. "I don't think he's neglecting us on purpose. Didn't he say he's working on a massive project and has no time?" "Let's trust him," Toki said with a reassuring smile. She bore no resentment toward Rob. For her, it was entirely understandable. Rob wasn't just a father or husband, he was also an emperor ruling over countless powerful hunters and a global merchant with hundreds of art stores scattered worldwide. Naturally, his time was limited. Hearing this, Sora understood, but she couldn't help feeling a little upset. Her sadness vanished entirely when she suddenly felt a warm embrace from behind, washing away all her worries. "I'm sorry, my dear, if I've made you feel neglected," Rob whispered. At that moment, all her grievances melted away, replaced by a broad smile on her face. Neither Sora nor Toki was surprised by his sudden appearance, they had been expecting it. After all, why else would they speak so openly about the topic? It was all to lure Rob out. "It's okay, my dear. I know you're very busy," Sora said softly. A few days later, after resolving urgent matters, Rob finally had time to catch up on the latest chapters of the One Piece manga, which had finally delved into the Elbaf arc. "Here we go," Rob smiled as he purchased all the available magazines. There were a few chapters he hadn't read yet, and he was incredibly excited to dive into them. Chapter 833, Reading the Introduction to the Elbaf arc, Part 1. Rob was already well informed about all the One Piece chapters released up until now, but he had missed the latest ones due to being engrossed in the world of games recently. He had finished reading the Egghead arc, which ended shockingly, revealing the true depths of the world government and the mysterious Five Elders. He also learned that this world was on the brink of collapse and might sink one day if he didn't personally intervene, words spoken by the great scientist Vegapunk, who tragically met his end in this arc. Rob was fully aware of all this, so he mentally prepared himself for anything that might follow. Nothing Oda could do would surprise him anymore. He had reached the point where he could even foresee the end of this world, piecing it together from all the clues revealed so far. Even those not explicitly shown in the manga, which he uncovered through continuous research. This is it, Rob purchased chapter 1128, titled Role-Playing Game. From the title, it was obvious that the crew had been dragged into a confined world resembling a game. Thinking about this RPG reminds me of my own world of games. Rob smiled at this small coincidence and continued reading the chapter. After waking up in a Lego-like place, Nami was chased by a giant hedgehog and met Usopp, who was also being pursued by a giant cat. Their outfits were changed to resemble those of giants. Eventually, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji arrived and easily defeated the enormous cat, which could transform into a lion. That was the summary of the previous chapter. In the current one, the crew reunited and tried to figure out why they had been separated and brought to this strange place. Chapter's events. Underscore 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 underscore. Our threads resemble the traditional warrior outfits of Elbaf, Usopp observed confidently. But they wouldn't have clothes that fit us. This is an island of giants, after all. Let's say this is Elbaf. Could we have been gigantified, he speculated. Nami pointed at what looked like a Lego tree. This tree is definitely fake. I think there are people in town. We won't figure this out without talking to them, Zoro suggested, adding, besides, this area is too vast, and we don't even know where the sea is. You're right. Let's head to town, Luffy declared. The others don't seem to be here, Sanji noted. How do you know? Usopp asked in surprise. My radar isn't picking up Robin-chan. Sniff, sniff. Are you a hound? Nami asked, bewildered. Rob scratched his chin after witnessing this humiliating portrayal of Sanji. Again. Why this nonsense? Has Oda started losing his touch? Once was fine, but comparing Sanji to a dog twice? Isn't that too much? At this moment, Rob felt an overwhelming urge to slap Oda. Let's not forget, Sanji was now his son. Even before that, Rob had been a huge fan of Sanji's character. He hated seeing his favorite character being humiliated this way. When my son grows up and sees this nonsense in the manga, what will I tell him? That his father was joking with him? Ha? Ha? Tell me, Oda. Why are you making things harder for me? Are you doing this on purpose? Right? Right? Sigh. Dog? Even if there's no limit to the crew's banter, this is still too much. Although still dissatisfied, Rob chose to ignore it for now and continued reading the chapters. It seems the so-called sun god has peculiar hobbies. Even ordinary animals are labeled as gods. Well, that's typical of giants. Rob's gaze seemed to pierce through the heavens and clouds, landing on the colossal island that housed the huge treasure tree atom. Shaking his head, Rob let the image of the giant's island fade from his mind and refocused on the manga's events. As expected, Luffy crashed into the sky, which resembled a shattered mirror at that moment. The impact caused the sky to break, revealing the fenced walls of the room. It turned out that the world they were in was merely a giant-sized playroom. The crew reunited with Chopper, who had been stuck in a place called the Sun God's Altar, where he dressed his living dolls in costumes and threw them into this RPG world. Costume dolls, huh? A Yonko's crew reduced to cosplay props for a giant. Ridiculous. Rob found himself oddly entertained by the bizarre turn of events. The story reached its peak when the so-called sun god appeared, referring to the crew as living dolls. It was revealed that the giant calling himself the sun god was actually a member of the new giant warrior pirates. His real name was Road, and his crew was part of the Strawhat Great Fleet. Displeased with this, Road used his pet crow to bring the Strawhat ship to him while the crew was unconscious from drinking. He dressed them in Elbaf attire and tossed them into his playroom. Nami, outraged by his perverted behavior in changing her clothes, struck him with a thunderbolt. Ha ha! Serves him right, that perverted giant, Rob laughed, thinking Road deserved even worse. This Road fellow seems to be in his 40s, which is like adolescence for giants. I suppose he enjoys One Piece and sees the Straw Hat crew as his idols. The sun god myth, it seemed, was deeply rooted in the culture of the giants. At the end of chapter 1129, Luffy destroys the giant's playroom, revealed to be a prison, and finally escapes with his crew. In the end, there are no walls or barriers that can contain the true sun god. What an incredible prelude to an arc that promises grand events. Rob smiled, sensing this arc would be a feast of surprises and thrilling moments. Oda had been hinting at this arc and laying its groundwork for a long time. Now this arc has finally arrived, which is why Rob had high expectations for it. After all, Elbaf was the land of wars and immense power, so formidable that even the world government constantly avoided it. The village where Linlin caused chaos years ago was just one among dozens of giant tribes. Currently, even the king of giants, King Harold, remained a great mystery to Rob. Rob knew that this giant king was by no means ordinary. He didn't even care much for the One Piece manga, nor was he bothered by the commotion caused by the art store in Elbaf. What he cared most about was his son, Prince Loki. Why is his title in this chapter the Accursed Prince? Rob wondered as he read the intriguing title of chapter 1130. Far away in the New World, on the island of giants, Elbaf. Rain-filled white clouds intertwined with the branches of a massive tree. This tree was unimaginably large, with its branches piercing through the clouds and forming two layers of land the size of islands, one above the other. The art store rested under the towering shadow of the first layer of the enormous treasure tree atom. Around the art store, many giants, reduced to human size due to the art store's field effect, had gathered. Among the giants present, an unusual newcomer arrived. A giant who rarely showed up. He wore a horned helmet, and his smiling expression seemed somewhat sinister as he approached his elder brother, who was sitting with his group, Gerd, Rode, Goldberg, and Stanson. "Hajruden, my dear elder brother, I want to fight you again." Loki licked his lips wickedly after saying that. Hearing this, Hajruden clenched his fists tightly, grabbed his axe, and stood up. Gerd quickly tried to stop him. "What are you doing? He just wants to bully you as usual. Why give him this chance every time he looks for you? As a warrior of Elbaf, why would I refuse a fight with Loki?" But Gerd wanted to stop him, but he interrupted her. "It's fine." Hajruden left the art store's shrinking field, and his body began to grow until he returned to his true giant size, standing face to face with his younger brother. "Let's have an honorable battle. In the name of the sun god." Hajruden gripped his axe and charged with all his strength at Loki. "Do you want a battle in my name? For I am the sun god." Loki smiled as he spoke. Behind him, enormous beasts watched the battle with bored expressions. There was a colossal gorilla, a colossal wolf, a colossal snake, and a colossal bear. Chapter 834, Reading the Introduction to the Elbaf Arc, Part 2. Back in Ohara, Rob was deeply engrossed in reading the chapters. It seems somehow the crew got separated at some point. The rest of the crew, who hadn't appeared yet in Elbaf, were shown with Dory, Broggy, and the other giants who had reinforced them in Egghead. It seems they've stopped searching for them and are on their way to Elbaf. Rob noticed how confident Frankie and the others were in Luffy and the rest's ability to make their way safely to Elbaf. "Ha ha! They're already in Elbaf, and it looks like you're the latecomers." Rob laughed and continued reading to the next scene. The first thing Luffy and his crew saw after leaving the false world was an enormously massive tree. Luffy was astonished by its size, believing it must have lived for thousands of years. Even the surrounding trees looked like mountains, something the crew also noticed. "Wait, this castle." Rob spotted a gigantic castle connected by a massive suspension bridge to the first layer of the Atom treasure tree. "Doesn't this place look like my art store's location?" This was Rhodes' castle, but it seemed that at this point in time, it didn't exist yet. Instead, Rob's art store stood there, established as it was the most convenient location near the suspension bridge, away from the dense forest, and closer to the giant's village. After staring at the intriguing castle for some time, Rob shifted his attention to the following scenes. Two giants appeared. The female is Gerd, and the chubby one is Goldberg. It seems the long years haven't changed much about the giants' physiques, although these two are still young for their race and still in a growing phase. Ha ha! As expected, every giant has a unique laugh. Rob chuckled after noticing Goldberg's laugh, which somewhat resembled Dory's. I wonder what caught Luffy's attention. Did something give him chills? At Luffy's current level, only the giant King Harold could make him feel chills. After all, the giant King Harold is as formidable as Kaido in his prime. Rob fully understood that Harold, the giant king capable of rallying all giants with his personal immense power, was untouchable even by the world government. He was a true beast king. If he wanted, he could have been considered a pirate emperor alone. However, given his calm stance and disinterest in tangling with the world government, they placed no bounty on his head. He was as ancient as the world government itself. Why provoke him if he wasn't provoking them? Before Rob could discover where Luffy had gone, the manga shifted back to the rest of the crew, who were aboard the giant warrior's ship. Oh, Broggy and Dory's bounties have been updated. 1.8 billion berries each? What an amazing leap from just 100 million. Rob smiled as he saw Robin read the newspaper's contents shared with the giants. Broggy and Dory will be thrilled to see their new bounties in the manga. After all, 100 million doesn't reflect their true power. As expected of the world government, they blamed Vegapunk's murder on Luffy. Although it was Kizaru who killed Vegapunk, and under duress no less, blaming Luffy for the murder satisfied the public's outrage since they couldn't catch the Straw Hat crew. That mark, it's the one the crew shared with Vivi to distinguish between real friends and Bonclay when he used his powers to mimic their faces. Showing it now in his free form means Oda is hinting at something happening soon. Is it about Vivi? Since none of the present crew members were part of the crew back then, it's hard for them to guess why Luffy has this mark on his hand. Only Robin joined directly after Luffy and the others said goodbye to Vivi, showing her the mark. It symbolized their eternal friendship and that Vivi would always be a part of their crew. What? Loki killed his father? So Harold is already dead in the manga? Unbelievable. Rob was shocked to learn this fact from the giant's words. He knew about the legendary devil fruit passed down through the royal lineage of the giants. But considering the overwhelming strength of the Giant King, who already possessed this mythical fruit, how could his son Loki have killed him? Was it an assassination? Since Harold cared deeply for Loki, it must mean betrayal. It seems his name is quite famous in the manga world, even Jinbei has heard of him. If Loki escaped Elbaf, he would destroy everything and bring shame to Elbaf. Since he killed his father, he must be evil. And since he gained the legendary devil fruit, his strength is undoubtedly terrifying. It makes sense now why the giants call him the shame of Elbaf. So, is Loki the ultimate villain of the Elbaf arc? Oh, Loki has finally appeared. Rob's eyes lit up as he saw the final scene of the chapter. Chapter's events. Underscore 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 underscore. Luffy walked slowly on the snow toward a giant bound by massive chains on the Atom Treasure Tree. He was an extremely large giant with long, light hair tied in twin braids at the front and messy at the back. Like the other giants, he wore a horned helmet, and his eyes were covered with bandages. Sensing Luffy's presence, the bound giant opened his mouth, letting out his long tongue and saying, "State your name." "I'm Luffy. The man who's gonna be king of the pirates." Luffy replied in his usual tone. "King," the giant was surprised. "Where is this place?" "Who are you?" Luffy asked. "This is Warland, the mighty kingdom of Elbaf. They say it is the birthplace of war." As the giant declared this, the entirety of Elbaf appeared in the background, with the Atom Treasure Tree dominating the island, covering 90% of it. "I am the sun god who will bring about the end of the world. Loki." The giant revealed his identity in a shocking manner. Rob, reflecting on the majestic depiction of the kingdom of Elbaf, realized it truly was the land of wars, home to the strongest beings. Why is every one of these evil giants obsessed with being the sun god? I wonder how Loki will react when he learns the real sun god is standing right in front of him. Rob smirked at Loki's self-proclamation. But does he truly want to destroy the world? What caught Rob's attention most was Loki's apparent desire to destroy everything. Is it because Lola, the girl he loved, rejected him? Does he want to destroy everything because of that? Giants really do have simple minds. That might actually be the reason, haha. After falling for Lola and proposing to her, he was rejected, which made him angry and consumed by hatred. He thought of taking revenge on the entire world, killed his father, gained the mythical devil fruit, and wanted to escape to wreak havoc and destroy everything. This could actually be the case. So the reason for Harold's death was the big mom-daughter's rejection of his son's love, haha. Seeing it from this perspective made Rob laugh. If this was truly what happened, Rob didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Harold, a thorn in the world government's side much like himself, was immobile and confined to his kingdom. But after his death, it seemed the government now had a far more troublesome enemy in Loki. Loki is strong. It took all of Elbaf's warriors to restrain him. Rob stared at Loki's manga depiction, noticing his laugh, where he stuck his tongue out, which Oda often used for villainous characters. In Elbaf, Loki laughed the same way as he deflected Hudruden's feeble attacks. Raising his massive leg, he stomped, boom, powerfully kicking Hudruden. With a single kick, Hudruden went flying, his bare back slamming against the art store. If it had been an ordinary building, it would have collapsed under the giant's weight. But since it was the art store, Hudruden's body shrank to human size upon impact, and he got up with difficulty. Hudruden coughed up blood but remained emotionally steadfast, unaffected by his loss to this cold-hearted younger brother. He knew why his brother bullied him all the time. It was to suppress his competitive spirit, ensuring he wouldn't dare think of challenging the throne after their father, the giant King Harold. "Is that all you've got, my elder brother? You truly disappoint me," Loki said. After saying this, Loki entered the art store, ignoring Hudruden and his group. Loki was followed by his monstrous pets, which also shrank to human size upon entering the store's domain. It seems the new volume of Solo Leveling is out. Let's see how far the Shadow Monarch has progressed. Loki exclaimed with excitement. Chapter 835, Finishing the New Chapters. The gaming world is about to launch. Moving to Chapter 1131, the latest released by Oda, the encounter between Luffy and Loki was at its peak. Luffy ignored Loki's repeated calls, seemingly lost in contemplation of the fact that they were finally in Elbaf. He wondered how Usopp would react upon seeing the view of Elbaf from atop the massive Atom treasure tree. Loki continued to call out to Luffy, who turned a deaf ear. In the end, Loki could no longer bear it. Chapter's events. I've seen so many giants for the first time on Dory and Broggy's ship. Their aura is overwhelming. Luffy continued, speaking to himself. Oi, Loki kept calling out to Luffy. No wonder this is the strongest kingdom. Luffy admitted. Oi! I am talking to you. Loki finally snapped and let out a roar, his voice like a menacing howl that frightened the massive wolves around them. I am the sun god whose name has been passed down in this land. Do not open your mouth without my permission, human. Now, answer me, what do you see in front of you? Elbaf, the cursed prince, Loki, the extraordinary bounty placed on him by the world government. 2.6 billion berries. At that moment, Rob noticed this exceptional bounty more than anything else. Wow! Did the world government place this bounty on him after he killed his father? Rob wondered, thinking this was the most likely explanation. Then, he continued reading the chapter quietly. So, Loki was bound to the Atom treasure tree 6 years ago. For a giant, this is barely 6 months at most. As expected, these giant handcuffs are made of sea stone. This confirms Loki as a user of that mythical fruit. And now he wants to strike a deal with Luffy. What an interesting plot twist. Rob felt the story was becoming more compelling. After all, in his opinion, Loki was the main villain Luffy had to defeat. Naturally, Loki would have to be stronger than Kaido. Otherwise, restraining him wouldn't require every warrior giant. The Underworld. It makes sense that such a harsh land of execution exists in Elbaf. Oh, what fascinating beasts. As expected, Luffy tamed them instantly, haha. The world where the sun died? What does he mean by that? This particular phrase piqued Rob's curiosity to the fullest. Naturally, he had his own theories. To think that Shanks was in this place. Did Shanks help capture and bind Loki? That could explain why Shanks has this kind of relationship with the giants. Also, according to the manga's timeline, Shanks became an emperor 6 years ago. Was it because he defeated Loki that he gained enough reputation to be classified as a Yonko? As the official publisher of One Piece in this world, Rob had a great ability to analyze and connect events. Thus, drawing such conclusions was very easy for him. It's easy to deduce, seeing how Loki considers Shanks a coward. It's clear they had a battle 6 years ago, and the winner is also obvious. Rob smiled as he saw how Luffy grew furious at Loki's disrespect towards Shanks in his presence. Although Luffy's anger is a bit exaggerated, it's expected. Shanks is incredibly dear to him. Most of Luffy's achievements can be credited to Shanks, as he's the one who saved his life. Loki is still trying to strike a deal with Luffy to free him, this time offering information about Shanks. If Luffy frees Loki, he'll undoubtedly earn the enmity of all the giants. I see the next scenario unfolding bit by bit. Luffy is so reckless. Since he doesn't understand the consequences of freeing this man, he might do it without hesitation. After transitioning to the scene where Road chased Usopp and the others, and the scene where Hajrudin hunted the giant stag in preparation for welcoming the Straw Hat crew, Rob's understanding of the current events deepened significantly. A big smile appeared on Rob's face when he saw Robin's new hairstyle, which was the same as it was before the 2-year time skip. She's feeling nostalgic. She even wants to meet Sol with the same hairstyle she had as a child. It will surely be a dramatic and emotional reunion. Now, what happened to Sol? Why did he pass out? I wonder. With that, Rob closed the magazine's last page, eagerly awaiting the next installment. By relying solely on continuous updates to the original manga, he could deepen his understanding of this world more and more. Without these updates, he would know nothing, like someone who had watched most of a movie but, for some reason, was struck blind and deaf before the film's end and could no longer see or hear anything. By expanding his understanding of the world, he could create the new One Piece world in the gaming universe with minimal flaws and avoid fatal errors like creating characters or events from nothing based on his flawed understanding. For instance, Bonnie's current presence in this world was a side effect of his ability as an average mangaka. If he believed someone existed, they would exist. If he decided on a character's gender in his mind, it would change accordingly. This was currently the case with Emu. These errors in his ability could only be avoided by reaching a 100% understanding of the world. Currently, his understanding hasn't even reached 90%. He was stuck at 89%. This confirms that the manga is truly nearing its end. It's really the final saga, the second arc of the final saga, sigh. Rob sighed as he looked at the ceiling, placing his hands behind his head in thought. With a wave of his hand, the white ceiling disappeared, replaced by an image of Robin on the ceiling of the art store. She appeared vibrant and full of life, with her short hairstyle and an innocent smile on her face. My daughter truly is the most beautiful in the world, even more than Hancock. Rob ignored the piled-up work for a while, gazing at Robin's face with a gentle smile before closing his eyes and falling asleep. Only by sleeping in the art store could he activate the virtual world. Feature and dive into the gaming world. He had already spent all his art coins to create this world. Using his average mangaka title, he was currently transforming the progress of the One Piece manga into a living world. Rob opened his eyes. This time, what appeared before him was different from Robin's image. A foggy world entered his vision. Directly ahead was a map of a blue planet, mostly covered by seas, with scattered islands here and there. Most regions were shrouded in surrounding fog, with only a few places unaffected. I see. This fog covers the places not yet revealed in the manga. Only by completing the manga can the world become free of fog. When Rob mentioned the manga, he referred to his updates in the pirate world, not Oda's updates on Earth. As he continued updating the manga and revealing new islands, the fog would gradually lift in the virtual world, allowing players to explore these areas freely, gaining treasures and experiences. Rob's virtual world wasn't just a game, it was a place where one could gain real power and wealth. It was an exact replica of the original world, but without true death. Only NPCs were subject to the laws of life and death. Now Rob was a creator of a world, albeit an incomplete one. The timeline and story players wish to engage in can be freely adjusted. Of course, only within the events revealed so far in the manga, everything before the 2-year time skip. Rob smiled in satisfaction. This is good. Sacrificing the art shop wasn't in vain. Available art stores, 880/999. These 880 art stores were scattered across the islands of the pirate world, whether in the Four Seas, the first half of the Grand Line, the New World, or special places like Rogers and Newgate's ships, Sky Islands, and secret locations. Considering that the world had thousands of islands, the number of scattered art stores was relatively small. However, given their widespread distribution, there was no need to add more for now. The 119 unused art stores were Rob's precious assets, and he wouldn't use them carelessly. Rob didn't regret sacrificing the art store to establish the One Piece virtual world's foundation. Instead, he refocused on building and enriching the world's details. With this, the game will be ready to launch next month. Should I let Roger and Rouge try it out first in celebration of their children's birth? Thinking about this, Rob smiled. Chapter 836, The First World of the Game, One Piece. Rob had conceived the idea of creating the world of games a long time ago, nearly a year back, in fact, when the system informed him that the reward for completing it would be a fully integrated virtual world. From that moment on, he pushed himself tirelessly, striving to gain more EXP and accumulate more art coins. Despite how difficult it was to earn experience points and how the system's upgrade requirements grew exponentially with each level, Rob never gave up. He kept drawing more manga and producing more anime. All this effort was aimed at completing the system's requirements in sync with the pre-time skip arc of One Piece. And that's exactly what happened. Now, with the system reaching level 20 and the pre-time skip arc completed, Rob even went the extra mile by adding the Golden Lion arc to the manga, officially making the Golden Lion a canonical character. After all, this individual truly existed in the world and was currently confined in the central prison. By this point, Rob had succeeded in executing all his plans smoothly. Starting with his grand strategy involving the 4 Seas, which was his initial plan upon arriving in this world, he managed to secretly establish his art stores across all 4 Seas. Although he unintentionally drew the world government's attention due to an unforeseen incident with a CP5 agent in Flevens, Rob ultimately succeeded in his endeavor. Even when the Flevens incident led to the world government dispatching Admiral Zephyr to handle him, Rob managed to repel the Admiral and his forces from Luneville, gaining the upper hand. While the government considered him a potential threat, they deemed him not yet dangerous enough to warrant an urgent response. Rob then secretly entered the Grand Line through the Little Garden Gate before moving to his second hidden location, Sky Island. From there, all his plans were executed seamlessly, leading up to this perfect moment. All of this was made possible because of Emu's tolerance and her desire for more chapters. Without that, my journey to this point wouldn't have been so smooth, with only a few annoying battles and challenges. Rob smiled as he reflected on his journey thus far. He was now confident in completing his manga peacefully, even if the world government decided to wage an all-out war against him instead of maintaining its Cold War stance. Even if they engage me in a life-and-death struggle and throw everything they have, I can still fight them while ensuring the stability of my monthly manga updates. At present, Rob was inside the virtual world, merging the current progress of his manga with the game world. As he did so, memories of everything he had experienced from the beginning until this moment flooded his mind. Reaching this point, his journey seemed truly surreal. His life was perfect, he had many women, many children, countless friends, strong subordinates, and abundant resources all at his disposal. Now, with the addition of the latest feature of the art store and the art he had produced over the years, he would soon have an entire world in his hand to control as he pleased. However, despite being the owner of this world, maintaining its existence and stability would require his enemies to enter it and contribute to its perfection. And who were his enemies in this world? Of course, the world government and its allies. 800 years ago, his clan, which had hoarded the world's knowledge and history, the clan once known as the Light of Knowledge, had viewed the world government as its adversary. The government, in stark contrast, represented the darkness of knowledge, constantly burying the world's secrets and fighting anyone who dared to unearth or reveal them. And what was Rob doing now? As the last descendant of the Knowledge Clan, Rob was following in his ancestors' footsteps by exposing the world's secrets in the most entertaining way possible, through manga. By the time the authorities of this world realized what was happening, it was too late to contain him. Rob had already grown beyond their reach. He had become a force on par with, or perhaps even greater than, the world government itself. Although the world government had accumulated power over 800 years, a feat that was by no means insignificant, Rob's artistic publication system had drastically closed this massive gap in just a few short years. This was the true advantage of what was known as a system, the ultimate cheat code for every transmigrator. Now, unless the world government went all out to stop Rob, the secrets that the One Piece manga would reveal in its second half would be unprecedented and unimaginable. Some of these secrets could turn the world upside down. It would no longer be a world divided into just two parts, it might fragment further and further. The true age of chaos was approaching. Although Rob's chaotic and thrill-seeking nature had mellowed over time in this near-paradisiacal setting, those buried feelings were now slowly resurfacing with the creation of the first game world, One Piece. Ha 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 ha. Welcome to my game world. Here, you can play to your heart's content. Take what you want, but don't forget to pay me. The payment will be in the real world government. Rob's laughter echoed through the misty, eerie, and gloomy world. Elbaf, Art Store. Who would have thought that such a weak boy would transform into such a powerful hunter capable of saving an entire country in such a short period? Sung Jin-woo. What a man! He's like a giant in the body of a small human. Stacks of solo-leveling manhwa magazines formed a small pile before Loki, who had only recently discovered the charm of the art store. Although he spent most of his time training in the land of the underworld with his monster comrades and had long heard of the art store's greatness and the amazing stories sold there, Loki had never cared. His sole focus was on increasing his strength. He had even mocked his older brother Hudruden for wasting time reading manga instead of training and preparing himself to inherit the throne. But one day, by sheer chance, Loki stumbled upon a solo-leveling magazine. That single issue was enough to ignite his curiosity, and he craved more. From that day on, Loki started coming to the store daily after training, often teasing his brother in the process. This newfound entertainment was a welcome change in his life. This Ant King is terrifying. Just an ant with such a strong and commanding aura? Incredible. I wonder who would win in a fight, me or this ant? Would I crush it by accident? As Loki finished reading the Jeju Island arc, he quickly moved on to the next, shorter arc. Recruitment arc? I wonder who he plans to recruit. Such a powerful hunter, I'd like to recruit him myself. Loki's eyes gleamed as he glanced at the opening scene of the chapter. Chapter's events. When the Jeju Island raid finally came to a close, it was all anyone could talk about. Wow. I'm at a loss for words. I thought it wasn't possible to summon that many beasts. Watching Sung Jinwoo's beasts fight the ants cured my 10-year battle with cancer. That was awesome. He's the GOAT. I lost my parents 4 years ago in Jeju. I'm pretty sure Sung Jinwoo will never see this post though. During the raid, the public got a chance to see Sung Jinwoo in action for the first time since he became an S rank. Oh. This looks just like our global forums. How interesting. Loki smiled as he observed the public's reactions to Sung Jinwoo's battle on Jeju Island. It was genuinely entertaining. Of course, while there are many supporters and admirers, there are also haters and skeptics. That's only natural. Such is life. You'll never find only supporters. Even the sun god, pure as the sun itself, had countless enemies who wished for his downfall. But in his presence, they didn't even dare to breathe. When I rise one day as the next sun god, I'll undoubtedly have many enemies and skeptics as well. But no matter. I'll destroy them all. I'll bring absolute liberation to this world by destroying it. Some giants glanced at the eccentric prince with strange looks before returning to their chapters. They were well aware of this prince's peculiar personality and his penchant for spouting nonsense. If he weren't the king's son, some giants might have chosen to teach him a lesson in proper conduct. Chapter 837, Development completed. After 3 consecutive days of hard work, Rob finished adding the final touches to the first game world. Being the first of its kind, creating it had been a unique experience for Rob. It's completely silent, Rob smiled as he gazed at the world beneath the clouds below. Silence enveloped the place. Although it contained all the necessities of life, it felt lifeless, void of vitality, movement, or the essence of life itself. Of course, it would be like this. The purpose of this world is entertainment and development, it's not a real world. I am the one who controls time, space, and the elements in this world. Its entire existence depends on me. When I decide for life to begin, it will begin. When I want time to move forward, it will move. If I want it to rewind, it will rewind. And if I wish for it to stop, the world will freeze, exactly as it is now. The world was formed in virtual space. However, under the influence of the mysterious capabilities of the art store as a foundation depths, even Rob himself couldn't fully comprehend what was virtual could become real. Thus, development within the game world was entirely feasible, and this was precisely why Rob sacrificed the art store without hesitation. Since the game world was modeled after One Piece, it was identical to the world Rob currently lived in. At this moment, Rob's gaze fell on a massive spot within the new world. It was surrounded by mist, but its details were visible through the haze. It was a colossal tree. Elbaf. What a mysterious place. Even with all my accumulated knowledge about this world, it remains difficult for the game world to recreate this island. Elbaf, as it stood in the game world, was a non-playable zone, much like Laugh-Tale and several undiscovered islands in the new world. In short, aside from the islands revealed in the One Piece manga so far, those Rob had personally explored, most islands in the New World were designated as non-playable zones. Even so, this is still a lot. Rob smiled as he looked at the countless islands and dense regions, clear as the morning sun. There were so many. It truly felt like a living world, teeming with plots and events for players to participate in. Author's note: for those who've read the legendary mechanic novel, you'll perfectly understand this game world. It's essentially the same concept. The One Piece game world is similar in plot design to the game world Han Xiao entered. Of course, only Rob could see all of this because he was the programmer, or the creator, as he liked to call himself. For the players, they would need to choose a profession, level up gradually, and unlock new maps to freely roam the world. Everything they acquired would depend solely on their abilities. Even their capacity to influence the game world's events would hinge on their performance. This is the fun of the game. Even I want to play at this point. Rob grinned, taking a final glance before allowing his consciousness to leave the game world and return to reality. I spent way too much time in there. I bet Robin misses me a lot. Has the latest chapter of One Piece been released already? Before leaving the art store, Rob purchased chapter 1132 of Shonen Jump magazine, which had appeared in the store's sales list after he'd previously consumed all accumulated chapters. Minutes later, he placed the magazine back into storage with a satisfied expression. It seems the crew members most affected by this sight were Usopp and Luffy, who had promised each other at the start of their journey to visit Elbaf one day. Rob smiled as he saw Luffy's grin, Usopp's tears, and the varied expressions of the crew members when they saw even a single village in the Sun World, Elbaf's land of the giants. After finishing the chapter, Rob felt a strange sensation from the game world. Though he was tempted to check it out, he refrained, suspecting that the mist surrounding Elbaf had thinned slightly after reading the latest chapter. Interesting, this explorer Louis Arnott. Rob was greatly impressed by the introduction of the Elbaf arc, which stood out significantly compared to the beginnings of previous adventures the crew had undertaken. With that, Rob put his hands in his pockets and left the art store. Creating the game world had consumed much of his mental energy, so he needed to rest. Inside the customers' lounge in the store, many were still enjoying the 3 volumes of the solo leveling manhwa that had been released over the past 3 months. The first was the recruitment arc, which came out immediately after the conclusion of the first part of the One Piece manga. A month later, the Ajin Guild arc was released. Then, a week ago, the Double Dungeon arc dropped. Many readers gasped in excitement, as the latest solo leveling arc was exceptionally thrilling, featuring Sung Jinhwa's return to the Double Dungeon where it all began for him. Ha! An S-rank dungeon appeared in Japan? What a pathetic country. I wonder if Jinwoo will help them. He must first enter the Cardinal Temple and figure out where this mysterious black key leads. That's true. Everything else will have to wait. Jinwoo has been stuck at his current level for a while now and needs to power up. This key the system gave him is the only way. You guys are still there? The events ahead are much more exciting. Just shut up. No spoilers. Rob smiled as he overheard readers' comments here and there. Seeing their satisfaction with the story's development brought him contentment as well. The solo leveling world would be an excellent choice for a game world. Unfortunately, I need to finish the manhwa first. It's not like One Piece, where the first part alone feels like a complete world. Thinking this, Rob exited the art store. Without a doubt, the day would come when Rob would have multiple game worlds to gain whatever he desired and provide endless entertainment. Stories were no longer confined to paper or screens. Maragoa. Another year-long hiatus. Sigh, it's a bit unfortunate. I remember the first time something like this happened in One Piece, a year-long break. It was frustrating, but now it feels even worse. We've grown so accustomed to the One Piece manga, it's like a drug to us. The infuriating part is that we have no power to force the author to continue. We'll just have to wait patiently. What are you all saying? Isn't this a good thing for us? We now have enough time to review everything the manga has revealed so far and prepare for the worst. Plus, most of the research we've been conducting, inspired by the anime and manga, has reached advanced stages. We just need a slight push to complete most of it. I remember the Mysterious Powers project based on chakra, nen, ryatsu, and haki, which stalled after Vegapunk defected to the enemy. It makes my blood boil. What about the nuclear bomb project? That, too, was sabotaged by Vegapunk before he left. Curse him. That sly bastard played his cards well and managed to secure Rob's protection. The five elders were irritated by the One Piece hiatus, but they were also somewhat relieved. After all, the hiatus meant the continuous leakage of secrets had temporarily ceased, giving them ample time to prepare for the worst. Have you heard about the game world? There's talk about it on the forums. It seems Rob-chan is planning something big this time. At that moment, the five elders straightened their postures upon hearing Imu's voice. I wonder what's inside this game world. Imu smiled faintly as she closed the solo leveling manhwa, feeling a bit bored. She, too, missed the One Piece manga. Chapter 838, Tensei Shirtera Slime Ken. The favorite manga of many weirdos. Days passed, and time advanced quietly without much fuss over this vast ocean. The world was calm. 4 months had passed since the end of the first part of One Piece manga, which reached its greatest climax during the Marineford War. It left millions of people speechless, utterly astonished by the superhuman strength that the inhabitants of this world could achieve. Ordinary people were filled with immense ambition after witnessing the peak of power in this world. Merely introducing the concept of haki was like dropping a nuclear bomb in the middle of the ocean, causing massive waves. As soon as the manga would later reveal methods for training in the types of haki, they would immediately begin practicing. After all, as long as there were peaks, they would strive to climb them no matter what. At the very least, they would try. Who wouldn't want to grow stronger? Whether human, fishman, dwarf, giant, or one of the many other races in this world, everyone, without exception, wanted to become powerful. Powerful enough to control their own destinies and live a glorious life in this world. They dreamed of following in Luffy's footsteps, gathering a crew of true comrades, embarking on the journey of a lifetime across this vast ocean, and making a name for themselves. Or perhaps following in Kobe's footsteps, rising from a frail, weak-willed child to becoming a super-strong marine soldier unafraid of even the ruthless Admiral Akainu. Indeed, Kobe's example gave hope to many of the world's ordinary inhabitants. What was stopping them from becoming the next Kobe? Inspired by this idea, many young people began training their bodies with unprecedented passion. One Piece manga motivated these youths who were once mere nobodies and made them realize the greatness of the world they lived in. And it wasn't just One Piece that served as a motivator. Many other mangas had a similar impact, such as Bleach, Solo Leveling, and also Slime. Additionally, anime shows that showcased various worlds, adventures, and experiences acted as further catalysts for this change. After all, their blue planet was extraordinary. Their world was no longer as ordinary as they had once believed before the advent of One Piece. Instead, it was exceptional. Here, a single person with enough power could dominate hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of others. Wealth, fame, power, as Gold Roger had said in the very first chapter. They were all within reach if one sought them. Why not pursue them? The secrets of this world were no longer reserved for pirates who had cast aside their humanity or for those in power. One Piece had made it so that everyone could explore this world through the eyes of Luffy and his crew. The ultimate truth of this world was loading. All they needed to uncover that truth was to read the manga. But among the masses in this world, some individuals were quirky and unconcerned about becoming stronger or more knowledgeable. They were unique in their way. They adored entertainment. Manga and anime were luxurious entertainment provided by the most respected and revered man in their hearts, Mr. Rob. Most of these eccentric individuals truly idolized Rob. Their dream was to see Rob overthrow the world government and rule this world. Because, according to them, Rob was entirely qualified to govern this world, unlike the five elders or those behind them. Rob gave so much to the world without expecting anything in return. He was truly the idol of their hearts, a genuine man who tirelessly created manga and entertained them without a single complaint. Not a day passed without thousands of these eccentric fans expressing their gratitude and admiration for Rob on the global forum. Today was a special day for these scattered soldiers across the world. Because today marked the release of an exciting new chapter of the most watched manga in the past 4 months, Tensei Shirtera Slime Ken. Chapter 42 had just been released. Numerous art stores had given the green light, plastering posters of the cute slime on their walls. The face of the slime and his followers adorned most of the billboards in art stores. Inside an art store in Ueno, the flower capital, the women's faces turned red with embarrassment at that moment. Who would have thought that this tiny, adorable slime would have a mini Sanji inside him? Meanwhile, the men were the opposite, with perverse expressions and nearly drooling as they stared at the exquisitely drawn elf women. These men were precisely the supporters of Rob ruling the world. All of them were perverts without exception. Among them were none other than the shogun, Oden, and his loyal retainer, Kinemon. Both were currently wearing black cloaks, hiding their identities as they voraciously devoured the manga. Chapter Events. Hey, even I can't handle. Kabuto was in a show-off position, standing upside down as a beautiful elf placed a wine glass on his leg, saying, "This glass is very valuable." Then she added seductively, licking her lips, "So don't you dare drop it, okay? 'Cause if you do, you might have to pay with your body." Blood gushed out of Kabuto in 4 directions, from his nose and ears. After all, the elf who said this was the most beautiful and alluring in this bar. Ah! Are you okay? It was a joke. A joke. The elf rushed to defuse the situation, while Rimuru was left speechless by the sight. Kabuto might die from blood loss if we stay too long. Ha ha ha. Is this funny goblin Sanji's reincarnation in this world? He's exactly like him. Ha ha ha. My reaction would be completely different if I were in his place. I'd spill the glass and pay with my body. Fools. That was a test to see how deeply you can endure. In my opinion, the way to pass this test is to not spill the glass and maintain composure. Oh, how wise. But she said that paying with the body would be the only option if the precious glass broke. Idiot, look, she said it was a joke. Ah. Are there elves in our world? I want to go to a bar like that. Elves? There are mermaids, so it's plausible there are elves in our world too. There are no elves in our world. Sigh, they're so beautiful. Hearing the loud discussions of the surrounding perverts, Oden was saddened. He was more knowledgeable than the people of his country. After all, he had traveled the world and learned many truths. There were many races in this world, but elves were not among them. This was an unfortunate truth for Oden at that moment. It was difficult for him to accept. Even Kinemon beside him felt sorrow. Ah, I wish I were a goblin in this world. It would be amazing to play with a beautiful elf like that. Kinemon wiped his lips and swallowed hard as he admired the beauty in the manga with fiery eyes. He wasn't the only one doing this, many other men were as well. But at that moment, Oden's expression shifted to a serious one. The conversation between the short-haired elf and Rimuru about the speech Rimuru had given earlier to the people of Dworgen as the master of the Great Alliance of the Jura Forest caught his attention. The bar owner believed that Rimuru's sincere speech had truly touched the hearts of the people, unlike the evaluation given by King Dworgen, which was a 0. This made Rimuru internally happy. It also made Odin deeply reflect, for he too had gained something from it. It's sincerity that attracts people. Odin echoed this sentence thoughtfully. That's right. Sometimes, honesty is the best option. Chapter 839, Conclusion of the first part of Attack on Titan S4. The first thing the art store screen displayed was heavy rain pouring down, marking the start of episode 75 of the thrilling anime Attack on Titan. The viewers were already on the edge of their seats, holding their breaths in anticipation. A flash of roaring thunder drew the attention of the Survey Corps, who were under Hanji's command at the time. After a few moments, gasps erupted from the audience as Zeke's half-mangled body appeared on screen, clearly having suffered greatly at the hands of Levi. The shocking scene, in which a Titan tore open its own bloody stomach to place Zeke's half-body inside, left many viewers feeling nauseous. Some immediately forfeited their viewing rights and left voluntarily. Their hearts were not strong enough to endure the intense visuals. TSK, a bunch of cowards. Doflamingo dismissed those leaving the art store at that moment, focusing back on the inner store's screen. The opening theme song began. Oh my, every time I hear this song, I feel an overwhelming urge to join a world war. Foo. Doffy laughed, suppressing the mounting excitement in his heart. The same was true for his companions nearby Enel and his brother Rosinante. Not far from them, Isho and Mihawk sat together as usual, joined by Brook, Sol, Vegapunk, Professor Clover, and many others. None of them were willing to miss the episodes of this phenomenal anime. After all, the weekly episodes carried a breathtaking plot progression so far. Anyone who watched Aodi was eager to find out how this chaos would end. Even those repelled by the gut-wrenching gore found ways to secretly catch up on the episodes later. It seems the political situation in Paradise has deteriorated to such an extent. Even Commander Pixis is in a pitiful state, threatened in his own land, among his own people. Professor Clover commented after the opening song ended, as Yelena, the leader of Zeke's supporting faction, appeared on screen. She was seated at the dining table, speaking with Commander Pixis, who was entirely under her control at the moment. He has no choice. After all, they are practically waiting for death. Look at Commander Pixis's response. The spinal fluid they ingested through the wine can turn them into mindless titans at any moment. It's a death sentence. Vegapunk, deeply interested in the transformation process of the Eldians into titans, spoke with fascination. Vegapunk was convinced there was a direct cause behind all of this. In such life-threatening circumstances, it's natural for allies to turn on one another, Brook lamented after witnessing Commander Pixis's words. This rumbling business is no simple matter. This conversation between Yelena and Commander Pixis must be much deeper than it appears, Isho remarked with a curious expression after hearing the dialogue between the two characters. Zeke is the god who will save the world, you say? Haha, that's amusing. Mihawk chuckled at Yelena's nonsense, clearly mocking her belief. Well, by that logic, Levi would be considered a godslayer. Mihawk, an avid admirer of Levi's swordsmanship, believed that if Levi existed in this world, he'd be a swordsman formidable enough to rival him for the title of the best swordsman. Euthanasia. That's Zeke's plan? What is Zeke intending to do? And is Eren involved in this plan as well? Euthanasia. Who's being killed? And how is that different from plain murder? This anime never ceases to amaze me. Yelena's design is fantastic. Look. She killed an ally without hesitation, simply because he insulted the Eldians by calling them devils. She's ruthless. If she were in our world, she'd be a famous pirate with such a spirit. I still can't get over what Eren said to Mikasa and Armin. My god, how did Eren change this much? This isn't about saving Paradis or Marley anymore. It seems there's an enormous secret behind the rumbling. The audience continued to discuss the unfolding events as the episode progressed, both inside the art store in Ohara and in every art store scattered across the world. In Ohara, the viewers remained immersed in the episode's events, all under Rob's watchful eyes. From the background, Rob observed the emotions on everyone's faces while keeping track of the art coins piling up, which had completely dried up since he completed the creation of the game world, One Piece. To create a new game world, he needed to collect at least 1 billion art coins. It was a long road ahead. Creating the One Piece world cost him 1 trillion art coins due to its massive scale, intricate plot, and numerous elements. For a simpler world, 1 billion coins would suffice, provided it wasn't as complex as One Piece. Hence, to gather more precious coins, Rob needed to increase the number of new shows, especially anime, which consistently generated abundant art coins. Enjoy Attack on Titan, because there might not be another anime of its caliber in the future. Rob thought to himself, observing the complex emotions of viewers inside and outside the art store. Marineford. Since the One Piece manga was currently on hiatus, the only source of entertainment for the dedicated Marine soldiers was anime shows, especially the extraordinary Attack on Titan series. As there was no official art store at the Marine headquarters, they relied on Video Den Den Mushi to transmit visuals and sound directly from Marigoa, much like the live broadcast of the Summit War in the Sabaody archipelago. This was how they watched weekly episodes. Today happened to be the day of the final episode of the first part of Season 4. However, Rob refrained from splitting Season 4, as he already had it completed. For the inhabitants of this world, this was episode 16 of Season 4. Is Peak telling the truth? Will she really side with Eren? Sengoku pondered over the unexpected turn of events. It doesn't matter. I'm more impressed by how unaffected Eren was, even with a gun pointed at his head. Zephyr replied with a smile. I think Marley has completely brainwashed these trained Eldians from a young age. From Gabi's reaction, I believe Peak is lying. It's clear she's trying to lure Eren into a preset trap. Suru remarked confidently. Arara. That's possible too. But what's going to happen to Zeke? Akiji expressed curiosity about the fate of the Beast Titan holder, as Zeke was Eren's brother and unlikely to die easily. Euthanasia, ending the Eldian bloodline? TSK, isn't that just cowardice and surrender? Akaino sneered disdainfully at Zeke's plan. At this point, I'm dying to see what Eren is truly planning, Kizaru added. Episode events. Show me where the enemy is now. Eren stood on the rooftop, one hand behind his back, ready to transform into a Titan at any moment. There, Peak turned and pointed to him. As Eren expected, within moments, the Jaw Titan attacked from below the building, tearing at his legs. If he hadn't jumped, he would have been devoured. The next moment, Eren transformed into the Attack Titan. What's that? Connie and the others, imprisoned in the dungeon, were shocked. It has begun, Armin commented nervously. The Titans have started moving. Mr. Galliard. Gabi was startled to see the Jaw Titan shielding them from the aftermath of Eren's transformation. I feared it wouldn't be that simple, Peak remarked. Peak? So, you're not a traitor. Gabi felt relief at this unexpected turn of events. Did you really think I would betray my comrades, Gabi? But you said we had no future even if we served Marley. Look up. Words weren't enough to explain. What Gabi saw at that moment filled her with overwhelming joy. At that moment, 5 massive war blimps appeared in Paradise skies. I don't trust Marley. But I definitely trust those who fought alongside me, Peak declared confidently. The signal flare sent. Peak and Galliard have revealed the traitor's location. It's the founding Titan, shouted the Marleyan commander aboard one of the blimps. At that moment, Reiner stared directly at Eren. It's time to avenge Liberio. We'll take him down here, declared Theo Magath as he glared at the Titan below. Come to me. From within the Attack Titan, Eren's expression was defiant. Reiner, he muttered, locking eyes with his opponent. To be continued. Oh my god, that was incredible. I enjoyed this episode so much. I can't wait to see Reiner get crushed again. Titan battles are breathtaking. Reiner is clearly going to lose again. Could this day mark the beginning of a new era in this world? This is amazing, but why did the episode end so quickly? Ugh. As expected, Peak was lying. Damn her. Where is Zeke in all of this? Oh my god, these war blimps look terrifying. I can't wait to see the next episode. Please let it come out already. These were the viewers' last comments before returning to their busy lives. Chapter 840, Episode 113 of Naruto Shippuden. The beginning of the Chasing Itachi arc. That despicable snake is still dreaming of taking Sasuke's body. In the vast lands of Wano, the ninjas were enjoying their favorite anime, Naruto Shippuden. Episode 113 began with a detailed recap of everything Orochimaru had done to prepare Sasuke for this very moment. All of this for a longer life. What a vile villain. Reizo gripped the cup in his hand so tightly that it nearly broke. A trivial punishment, you say? Ha ha. Hiruzen sacrificed himself to give you a solid slap. Stripping you of the ability to use your arms again, something that was a part of your very soul, and you call it a trivial punishment? Reizo mocked Orochimaru's description of what Hiruzen had done to him as a trivial punishment. The battle between the third Hokage and Orochimaru remained vivid in Reizo's memory. And in the memories of all the ninjas in Wano, even to this day. That battle revealed the immense power level of the Hokage and displayed the might of the ninja world to the residents of the pirate world in its finest form. The allure of ninja battles had already captivated every corner of this world. Oh! There's Sasuke! As Sasuke appeared in the dimly lit room, Reizo and the other ninjas breathed excitedly. The Sharingan, that divine eye. It was a power every ninja in this world wished to have. Reizo and the other ninjas were no exception. With that, the introduction ended, and the spectacular opening theme began, enthralling all listeners at that moment. The long-awaited and highly anticipated anime had officially begun. What an incredible display of ninja techniques. Sasuke is so powerful. Oden stood on the balcony of the Shogun's castle, able to clearly see the screen of the art store, which was broadcasting the current episode of Naruto Shippuden. Beside him, a small child clung to his robe, his son, Momonosuke, who had only recently learned to walk and stand. On the other side was his wife, Whitey Bay, whose expression was one of awe after witnessing the synchronization between Sasuke and his brother Itachi in the flashbacks. Their coordinated movements were truly remarkable. As expected of the genius brothers. The Uchiha clan is incredibly terrifying. If Itachi hadn't slaughtered them, they might have taken over the entire ninja world. Whitey Bay lamented the tragic fate of the Uchiha clan. There's a clan similar to the Uchiha, or rather, a unique race in our world as well, the Lunarians. Coincidentally, they also manipulate fire thanks to their racial abilities. They were a superior race that ruled the world in the past. Oden shared some long-forgotten history to educate his wife. Lunarians? I've heard of that race. I wonder if they've completely gone extinct or if there are still a few left, like Itachi and Sasuke. Who knows? In any case, the Uchiha are human, not a separate race. What sets them apart is their prestigious bloodline. Let's see how Sasuke escapes Orochimaru's grasp first. Otherwise, his revenge against his brother will never be complete. With that, Oden and his wife continued watching the episode. Is he finally going to kill him? He said he no longer needs to learn anything from him, so it's clear he knows Orochimaru's goal. Of course, he knows. Do you think Sasuke is stupid? But how will he escape Orochimaru's grand scheme? I wonder. It seems the battle is about to begin. Without a doubt, the victor will take everything. Aboard the Moby Dick, the Whitebeard pirates were also enjoying the latest episode of Naruto Shippuden, drinking all kinds of wine and chatting cheerfully. Gorarara! Truly, obtaining the Sharingan is tempting, but immortality is even more so. It's clear Orochimaru's ultimate goal is immortality, but this time he's chosen a tough nut to crack. That boy Sasuke isn't simple. He's grown into a formidable challenge for you, Orochimaru. Whitebeard didn't feel disgusted by Orochimaru's ambitions or his methods. After all, he was a pirate and had no right to despise a strong man who had found his purpose in life. To Whitebeard, Orochimaru was precisely the type of person, a man who had found his calling, just like himself. He was also someone who sought a family. The difference between them was that Whitebeard had succeeded in his pursuit, while Orochimaru had only partially succeeded. He's definitely a model villain, Oyaji. Even among cold-blooded pirates, he'd rank at the top. Of course, Sasuke would never accept such a person as his mentor. Even if he appeared to accept him on the surface, deep down, he always felt disgusted by him. Marco said with annoyance, as he also disliked Orochimaru's despicable personality and his tendency to treat people like tools. It reminded him of Blackbeard. Well, it seems things are getting more and more interesting. Whitebeard poured more sake into his mouth, wiping his lips as he watched Sasuke and Orochimaru's exchange. Episode's events. What you've done, pathetically trying to reach the power of the Uchiha by using drugs to surpass your body. To me, it's laughable and disgusting for someone like you to want to claim that name. Sasuke paused for a moment, scrutinizing the pitiful sight of Orochimaru before continuing. And above all, I despise the way you treat people. Memories of Orochimaru's cruel experiments on innocent humans flashed through Sasuke's mind. Do you even have a goal? You move from one hideout to another, carrying out your experiments. You manipulate life after life to overturn the order of this world. Sasuke added more power to his long chakra blade, which pierced Orochimaru's arms as he struggled in pain. You keep exploiting others for your pathetic and selfish reasons. Saying this, Sasuke remembered his brother Itachi, who was also a master manipulator. Why, brother? To test my abilities. Itachi answered indifferently. To test your abilities. Is that all? Is that why you killed everyone? It was necessary. You make me sick. With those words, Sasuke pulled out his blade and attacked Orochimaru. But in this life-or-death moment, Orochimaru revealed his true form. A snake with white scales. Is this your true form? Sasuke smirked mockingly. You've conducted experiment after experiment to move from one body to another, only to end up like this? And now, Sasuke, give me your body. The battle began. On Punk Hazard, the world government's scientific base, Caesar Clown watched the live broadcast from Marihoa with excitement. How can a pathetic brat like you comprehend Orochimaru's scientific achievements? Shirararo. At this moment, Caesar Clown mocked Sasuke, who had insulted a weakened Orochimaru. Their mindsets were strikingly similar, both were mad scientists. Thus, Caesar Clown felt a strong affinity for Orochimaru, his favorite character in Naruto. Just like Urahara and Mayuri from Bleach, or Cortopi from Hunter x Hunter, and Dr. Stylish from Akane ga Kill, these unique characters reflected parts of Caesar's own personality, and he admired them greatly. Especially Orochimaru, who aimed for immortality. Not only that, but Orochimaru had achieved some astounding results in his pursuits. Shirararo. You don't like his treatment of people, and that's natural. But how else can he achieve his research without studying the human body? He even used his own body for experiments. That's the resolve of a true scientist. Just be obedient and give him your body, Sasuke. I bet he'll avenge Itachi for you using your body. Shirararo. Oh, it seems the battle has started, but why did the episode end? That was so quick. When's the next episode? The mad scientist Caesar Clown, along with the rest of the Naruto Shippuden fans, had to wait for the next episode to find out what would happen and how Sasuke would end the saga of Orochimaru that had spanned 2 seasons so far. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. The series What If Transmigrated to a Medieval Pokémon World will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Reincarnated in Bleach as Toshiro Hitsugaya? What if Reborn in Naruto World, continuation? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.